Fact or fiction? The real history behind the Tree of Life. Script Christian Jaqq's The Tree of Life opens a doorway to ancient Egypt that feels more real than fantasy. The temples, the codes, the sacred rituals. It all flows together in a powerful story of truth and transformation. But how much of it is real history? And how much is inspired imagination? Did ancient Egyptians truly believe in a tree of life? Were there priests keepers of divine secrets? Could someone like Iker have actually existed, moving from lowly scribe to chosen initiate of the gods? In this video, we'll peel back the layers of fiction and uncover the historical truths that lie beneath the Tree of Life. And by the end, you may see ancient Egypt and this novel in a whole new light. Before we uncover what's real and what's imagined in the Tree of Life, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Like this video if you're passionate about ancient Egypt, and drop a comment below. What part of the book made you question what was fact or fiction? What is the Tree of Life about? Set in a crumbling Egypt overshadowed by spiritual decline, the Tree of Life follows Iker, a young scribe unknowingly drawn into a world of divine secrets, betrayal, and cosmic purpose. As Pharaoh's power weakens and enemies rise from within, a battle unfolds not just for political control, but for the preservation of the sacred teachings of Osiris. Isis stands as protector of that wisdom, guiding the faithful and shielding the truth. And in the middle of it all is Iker, whose path from ordinary life to spiritual awakening reflects the very heart of Egyptian transformation. Jacq weaves myth, legend, and speculative history into an adventure that feels both ancient and urgent. But what's drawn from history and what's purely imagination? That's what we're about to uncover. The Tree of Life in mythology. Is it Egyptian? The idea of a Tree of Life exists in cultures across the world, from Mesopotamia to the Bible to Norse mythology. But what about Egypt? Egyptian texts mention sacred trees like the Ishid tree and the Persea tree, both tied to the gods, to divine nourishment, and to immortality. The Ishid tree was said to grow in Heliopolis, the city of the sun, where gods inscribed the names of kings to bestow eternal legacy. The Persea was associated with rebirth and sacred knowledge. There's also the acacia tree, which held great symbolic meaning. It was linked to the goddess Osiris and was considered the source of life and death, a tree with power over the spiritual realm. So while Tree of Life as a term may not appear exactly in Egyptian records, the concept was absolutely present. Trees represented the axis between heaven and earth, and their fruit, symbolically speaking, was spiritual knowledge. Christian Jacq takes that scattered symbolism and crafts it into a singular, powerful idea, a sacred tree that embodies the mystery of Osiris himself. It may not be a historical object, but it is deeply rooted in Egypt's spiritual worldview, the priesthood and sacred knowledge. In the Tree of Life, the priesthood is portrayed as a guardian force, a network of initiates preserving ancient truths, hiding them from corruption, and guiding the worthy. But was that the case in real life? Egyptian priests were highly educated. They studied astronomy, mathematics, medicine, ethics, and the rituals of the gods. Their entire function was to maintain Mayat, cosmic balance. They served in temples, interpreted sacred texts, and performed rites to ensure the gods remained in harmony with Egypt. Initiation into deeper mysteries is hinted at in various texts, but the details are scarce, possibly deliberately so. Some scholars believe that what we now call mystery schools may have existed in temple complexes, particularly in places like Abydos, Karnak, and Heliopolis. Christian Jacq dramatizes these teachings into something more secretive and personal, suggesting hidden orders and mystical trials. It makes for a compelling story, but the historical truth is that priests were trained for years, and while not all of them were initiates in the novel sense, they certainly saw themselves as preservers of divine knowledge. So while the secret orders may be fictionalized, the idea that knowledge was guarded and sacred, absolutely true. Iker's journey, realistic or pure fiction? Could someone like Iker, a humble scribe, truly rise to such spiritual significance? In ancient Egypt, scribes held a special place. They were literate, often closely associated with temples and officials, and had access to both administrative and religious knowledge. Some scribes became powerful advisors, overseers, and even high priests. So the idea of a scribe being caught in powerful events is not far-fetched. What's more stylized in the novel is Iker's selection as a chosen one by the gods, a classic hero's journey echoing spiritual awakening. Historically, there's no record of chosen initiates moving from obscurity to direct contact with Isis or Osiris. But the metaphor of awakening, of being pulled from the world into sacred service, is present in many ancient traditions. So while Iker's spiritual elevation may be fictional, his role as a scribe with deep purpose reflects a very real path of advancement in ancient Egypt. If you've made it this far, you are clearly as fascinated by Egypt's mysteries as we are. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into the secrets of the Nile and the wisdom of Osiris. Let us know your thoughts. Was Iker's journey purely symbolic or something more? The Pharaoh and Isis. There was historical roles versus literary portrayals. In Jacq's work, Pharaoh is not just a political figure. He is the divine ruler, torn between his human limitations and his cosmic responsibility. That portrayal is historically accurate. Pharaohs were considered the living Horus, the son of Ra, the bringer of Ma'at. They were both king and priest, ruling by divine right. When Pharaoh weakened or acted unjustly, it was believed Ma'at itself was at risk. Isis, too, was not just myth. She had a massive cult following throughout Egypt, and later the Roman world. She was worshipped as a protector, a mother, a magician, and a queen of the heavens. Her story of resurrecting Osiris was central to Egyptian religion and inspired real temple rituals. What Jacq does is amplify her role, making her a political strategist, a master of divine wisdom, a silent but active force behind Egypt's survival. It's an artistic elevation, but one deeply rooted in how Egyptians viewed her. In short, Isis and Pharaoh, as presented in the novel, are grounded in truth, though heightened for dramatic effect. Symbolism versus history. Christian Jacc's greatest strength is his use of real Egyptian symbolism, like the Djed pillar, the crook and flail, the Ankh, and the Eye of Horus. These were not invented for the novel. They were everywhere in ancient Egypt, representing resurrection, divine authority, life, and protection. But Jacq takes those symbols and breathes new narrative life into them. He gives them magical function. He turns them into keys, tools, weapons of spiritual warfare. That's where fiction enters. Still, his interpretations make us look again at these ancient images, not just as art, but as echoes of a forgotten worldview. And maybe, just maybe, that's his point. To use fiction to make us question what we've forgotten. Why it matters. The power of historical fiction. In the end, The Tree of Life is not a textbook. It's a vision, an invitation to imagine ancient Egypt not as a set of ruins, but as a living, breathing spiritual civilization. Jacq doesn't claim to be a historian in the academic sense. He's a storyteller who has deeply studied the culture he writes about. And by blending fact with fiction, he creates something rare, a story that entertains while it awakens curiosity. We come away not with answers, but with better questions. Could ancient Egypt have known truths we've lost? What did their symbols really mean? And why does this civilization still speak to us across thousands of years? Invitation, so, fact or fiction. Christian Jacc's The Tree of Life walks the line between both. His temples and rituals are grounded in history. His characters echo real archetypes. But the tree itself, the secret orders, the divine missions, those belong to the realm of story. And yet, perhaps story is how truth survives. If this video stirred your curiosity, if you believe that behind myth there may be memory, then this journey is far from over. Because next we dive into the hidden teachings of Osiris and ask, was there ever a real school of mysticism behind it all? We'd love to hear from you. Do you think Jacc's version of ancient Egypt is closer to truth than we realize? Like the video, share it with fellow mystery lovers, and subscribe to our channel to continue uncovering the secrets buried in the sands of time. Stay with us. The mysteries are just beginning.